Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. And today we're looking at something a little different. We're going to be digging into a fictional heist story.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is one that involves museum artifacts, double crosses,
Okay.
and a main character who really discovers that she's capable of way more than she thought possible. And we've got excerpts from the story to guide us, so we're going to be pulling those in.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited to dig into this one. So let's just get right into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
So one of the things that really stood out to me about this story was how it explores societal pressures.
Okay.
You know, how they can push someone to a breaking point.
Yeah.
And kind of force them to make choices they never thought they would.
Hmm.
It's not just a thrilling caper,
Right.
but it's like a deep dive into human psychology as well.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. The heist is almost secondary to like this amazing character development that we see. It's really fascinating.
Okay, so speaking of character development,
Yeah.
let's talk about Mia, our main character. She's a museum curator. And she's clearly passionate about her work,
Mhm.
but at the same time, she's incredibly undervalued.
Yeah.
There's a scene where she's like meticulously handling these artifacts,
Yeah.
and she just casually notices this security flaw that everyone else seems to just ignore completely.
Right. It's like she's screaming into the void, I see the cracks in the system, but no one's listening. And it's just so powerful. That detail speaks to this idea that expertise can be so easily overlooked, especially in fields that are traditionally dominated by men.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really sets the stage for someone like Leo, our, charming mastermind, to come in and exploit that vulnerability.
Yeah, he definitely knows how to manipulate the situation.
Mm.
There's that line that he tells Mia, "You're too smart to waste your time there."
Yeah.
That really stuck me. He's playing on her intellect, her ambition, all those things that she's probably been told to suppress in this very patriarchal environment.
Right.
But here's the thing I find really interesting. Mia doesn't immediately shut him down.
Yeah, why do you think she's even remotely tempted by this dangerous proposition?
I mean, it's not just about the money, right?
Right.
It's about agency.
Exactly.
Mia has been made to feel so small, so insignificant. The heist, with all of its risks, actually represents a chance for her to reclaim her power, to prove her worth on her own terms.
That's so true. It's not just about the money. It's about taking control.
And let's not forget, she's working with all these incredibly valuable artifacts day in and day out. So maybe there's also this kind of subconscious allure to objects that represent wealth and power.
That's interesting.
It's like the golden mask itself,
Right.
which is the target of the heist.
Yeah.
It becomes this symbol of everything that Mia desires but can't attain through, quote unquote, conventional means.
That's a really fascinating observation, and it kind of connects to this larger point about how museums actually function in society. They display these objects of beauty and value, but they often obscure their origins or the darker aspects of history. It's like a form of curated presentation, not unlike the masks that people wear in social settings.
Oh, I like that. I'm seeing the connection now. So the golden mask isn't just like a random MacGuffin.
Right.
It's a reflection of the character's hidden selves, their desires, their illusions.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about Leo.
Okay.
He's initially presented as, this smooth-talking expert.
Yeah.
But there are these little hints of a troubled past. The story mentions a faded photograph, a suggestion that he's doing this one last job to atone for something.
Oh, interesting.
It reminded me of the infamous Gardner Museum heist,
Oh, yeah.
where the thieves were never caught, and those stolen masterpieces are still missing.
Wow.
Some people speculate that the heist was an attempt to settle a debt or to gain favor with some powerful figure. That's crazy.
That's wild. It makes you wonder if Leo has a similar backstory, Is he really in control, or is he being manipulated by someone else?
Right. Is he the mastermind,
Yeah.
or is he a pawn in a larger game?
Right.
And that brings us to the planning phase of the heist.
Right.
The story really goes into the meticulous details. The guard schedules blueprints, secret meetings at a little cafe.
Oh, wow.
It's classic heist movie stuff.
Oh, it totally is. And it's so fascinating how fiction often mirrors reality. Did you know that museums spend millions of dollars on security systems?
I believe it.
Like everything from motion sensors to infrared cameras to pressure-sensitive floors. But you know what the weakest link often is?
What's that?
The human element.
Oh, of course.
Guards can be bribed, routines can be exploited, and even the most sophisticated tech can be bypassed with enough ingenuity.
Okay, that's giving me chills. I'm picturing laser beams, secret codes, the whole shebang.
Yeah.
Speaking of high-stakes tension, There's this flashback to a heist that Leo pulled off in Paris,
Yeah.
and it clearly haunts him.
Yeah, what happened in Paris?
Well, that flashback serves a crucial purpose. It reveals that even the most experienced criminals can make mistakes, and those mistakes can have lasting consequences.
Oh, totally. Take the Antwerp diamond heist, for example. The thieves were considered professionals. But this tiny little oversight, a discarded sandwich wrapper with a fingerprint, led to their capture.
Oh, wow.
It just shows how even a seemingly insignificant detail can completely unravel the most elaborate plan.
That's so true. It really highlights how one tiny mistake can ruin everything.
It makes you wonder if Leo's insistence on this being one last job is less about a clean break and more about proving that he still got it. You know, that he hasn't lost his edge, that he can still outsmart the system.
Right. It's almost like his confidence is a facade,
Yeah.
like this carefully constructed mask to hide his insecurities.
That's a really good point. And maybe that's why he targets someone like Mia.
Mhm.
She seems more hesitant, less experienced in the world of high-stakes crime.
That's a brilliant insight.
And
It's almost as if he needs to reaffirm his own expertise by bringing someone new into the fold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I find interesting is that the story doesn't paint Mia as just a naive pawn.
She's observant. She picks up on those details like that
Mhm.
security flaw in the museum that others miss.
Exactly. And that brings us to the actual heist. The story describes this palpable tension as they enter the museum after hours. It's like a place that Mia knows so intimately is suddenly transformed into something alien and dangerous.
It's such a brilliant use of setting to heighten that suspense.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine a place that's dedicated to preserving history becomes the stage for a crime that could actually erase a piece of that history forever.
Right.
And for me, as someone who's devoted her life to protecting these artifacts, it must feel like this profound violation.
Absolutely. It's like she's crossing a line she never thought she would,
Right.
stepping into a world she's only glimpsed from behind velvet ropes and museum glasses.
Oh.
And then just as they're about to make their move, there's this sudden noise.
Oh.
Leo brushes it off, but it makes Mia uneasy.
Oh, that's classic. You know, it's like the director's whispering in your ear, something's not right, pay attention.
Yeah.
It makes you, the audience, complicit in Mia's growing sense of dread.
It's so effective. And despite this unease, they manage to get the golden mask. There's a moment of triumph, but you can tell that Mia's not really celebrating. It's like she knows this victory is tainted, that the price she's paid might be too high.
Yeah, it's a pivotal moment for her character. The heist is successful, but it's also a point of no return. She's broken the law, betrayed her own values, and now she has to deal with the consequences.
And those consequences come in the form of the ultimate betrayal.
Yeah.
Just when you think they're going to get away scot-free, Leo turns on Mia.
What?
He wants to keep all the loot for himself.
Oh, wow. It's a gut-wrenching moment. Not just for Mia, but for us, the audience, too. We've been on this journey with them. We've seen their vulnerabilities, their moments of connection. And to have it shattered so abruptly, it really underscores the fragility of trust.
Yeah.
Especially in a world built on deception.
Right. You think they're partners, that they've forged this bond through shared risk, but it turns out it was all a facade. And what's amazing is how Mia reacts. She doesn't plead. She doesn't freeze. She pulls out her own gun, a detail that was subtly foreshadowed earlier in the story, and turns the tables on Leo.
Wow, that is amazing. It's such a powerful shift in her character. She sheds that persona of the timid curator and embraces this inner strength that she probably didn't even know she had. It's like she's finally taking control, refusing to be a victim in his narrative.
It's like all those years of being overlooked, underestimated, have fueled this inner fire. And now faced with a life-or-death situation, that fire erupts.
Wow.
She escapes, contacts the buyer that Leo had lined up, and effectively cuts him out of the deal. It's like she learned from the master manipulator himself.
That's what's so fascinating about her transformation. She doesn't just survive, she thrives. She takes the skills and knowledge that she's acquired, her understanding of artifacts, her meticulous attention to detail, and uses them to outmaneuver the person who tried to exploit her.
It's like she weaponized her intellect, her passion. And it makes you wonder, what does freedom look like for her now? She's tasted the thrill of rebellion, of outsmarting the system. But can she ever truly escape the consequences of her actions?
That's the question that lingers, isn't it? She's gone from feeling invisible to becoming a phantom, operating outside the boundaries of the law. Will this newfound agency bring her fulfillment? Or will it lead to a life of constantly looking over her shoulder?
It's like she traded one gilded cage for another.
Right.
She's free from the constraints of her old life, but now she's bound by the secrets. She carries the choices she's made.
And what about Leo, left empty-handed, betrayed by the person he underestimated? What becomes of him? Does he seek revenge? Does he spiral further into darkness? The story leaves us with these tantalizing possibilities, prompting us to imagine different outcomes.
It's like the heist itself was just the catalyst for a much larger story,
Yeah.
one that explores the ripple effects of choices, the unintended consequences that shape our destinies.
That's a great point. It really makes you think about the long-term impact of our actions.
So what do you think, listener? What resonated with you the most in this deep dive? Was it Mia's transformation, the allure of the heist, or the ethical dilemmas they faced? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
And as always, we encourage you to seek out more stories like this. Stories that challenge your assumptions, spark your curiosity, and make you think differently about the world around you.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll be back soon with another fascinating exploration of the stories that shape our understanding of ourselves and the human experience. It's fascinating how both Mia and Leo, in their own ways, try to break free from the systems that confine them. Mia from that patriarchal structure of the museum world,
Right.
and Leo from this shadowy underworld that he seems to be trapped in. But it's like they just end up in different kinds of cages.
Exactly. And it really makes you question, what does true freedom even mean? Is it about wealth and power, or is it something more internal, like a sense of agency, of living in alignment with your values?
That's a great question, and I think it's something that the story really leaves open for us to ponder. Mia might have escaped the museum and even outsmarted Leo, but is she truly free if she's constantly looking over her shoulder, living in the shadows?
Right. Her actions have consequences, and those consequences might be a lot more complex than just evading the law. There's the psychological toll, the guilt of betraying her profession, the potential loss of the relationships she left behind.
And what about the golden mask itself? We talked about it as a symbol of hidden desires and illusions. Now that it's in Mia's possession, does it actually represent a victory or a burden?
That's such a thought-provoking question. It reminds me of the real-life case of the stolen Mona Lisa. When it was recovered, it was hailed as this national triumph. But for the thief, it ultimately brought him notoriety and imprisonment. That stolen object, once a symbol of freedom and defiance, became a reminder of his transgression.
Wow, that's a powerful parallel. So the golden mask, initially this source of allure, might actually become a trap for Mia, a constant reminder of the choices she's made, the life she can never fully escape.
Precisely. And it makes you wonder what would have happened if she had resisted that temptation. If she had stayed at the museum, continued to fight for recognition within the system, would she have found a different kind of freedom, one that comes from integrity and purpose?
That's the kind of question that really keeps you thinking long after the story's over. It challenges us to examine our own values, our own definitions of success and freedom.
Absolutely. And it reminds us that sometimes the most compelling stories aren't about these clear-cut victories or defeats, but about that messy, complicated journey of figuring out who we are and what we stand for.
Well said.
Hmm.
So what do you think, listener? What resonated with you the most in this deep dive? Was it Mia's transformation, the allure of the heist, or the ethical dilemmas that they faced? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
And as always, we encourage you to seek out more stories like this, ones that challenge your assumptions, spark your curiosity, and make you think differently about the world around you.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll be back soon with another fascinating exploration of the stories that shape our understanding of ourselves and the human experience.